Hello, everybody, and welcome to Answer the Call. I'm here with my co-host, Croncy, and we have a little announcement we want to share with you guys. Linked down below, which I forgot to link until way later last week, and thank you for everyone who caught it and subscribed. We're going to start putting this on YouTube on its own YouTube channel. It just makes sense. Me and Croncy have been doing this now for 2-3 months, and it makes sense for us. It makes sense for the podcast overall to kind of be its own thing. So we're going to take that off of my channel since we're now doing this together and creating its own channel. So get over there, get subscribed. I'm going to start throughout the week posting all of the old podcasts from the beginning, everything that I have on my main channel of Answer the Call. I'm going to take them one by one and post them up there on that channel, and then we'll start posting new stuff there in the new year. So the first podcast of the new year will not only be on that channel, but it'll be streamed live on that channel simultaneously while being live on Twitch as well. So pretty cool, and yeah, I'm excited. So make sure you get over there and get subscribed. Yeah. I'm also excited for something else. 322 came out. It came out at the time I think we would have expected it to, and in the state that we would have expected it to be in. This is a very similar situation.
I don't know if it's the state that I expected it to be in. It's in a little bit of a better state, in my opinion.
Depending on how you look at it, it's incredibly stable.
Yes,
but like I have had 0-30Ks. I've had a few client crashes, and client crashes are pointless to care about. You just log back in and you're right back where you were. So unless you were like in a bunker and get killed, that's a different story. That might be a pain. But overall, client crashes are really no issue anymore. So yeah, I think it's very similar to the discussion in some ways that we had about 321.1 of like, we're rushing this out for a ship sale. The difference is they're rushing this out because the year is ending and everybody goes on vacation. It's a totally different story where I'm not upset about the rushing as much for this in particular, because it's just the end of the year. These people are human beings, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
and
they need their vacation.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels a lot better this year because like last year, the rush to get out before Christmas was 318 with PES.
This is much smaller than that.
Yeah, much smaller, but still really impactful for gameplay, which is super important. So it means that we're not going to be bored over the course of the entire. Well, maybe we will. We'll get into all of the features, but we're hopefully not going to be bored over the course of the next like 2 months, because really we won't see much more stuff until the end of January.
Yeah. Till the end of January for sure. Like now what's different I feel like after seeing CitizenCon, I feel like it's going to be a little bit less of the planning month that they do at the beginning of January. Because I think they kind of know what they need to do and what everybody's working on. And unless they do the classic CIG thing, which they probably will, they're going to change all the priorities and change everything at the beginning of the year, and then everything is different. I don't know. But
they never do that, Mike. What are you talking about?
So the hope is that we're like, on the right path, and this, this team needs to work on this feature from CitizenCon to bring it into the game. And I don't think anybody is really looking for much different than that. I assume there'll be other features that we don't know about, obviously, but I don't know. I think we jump right into it. Do you want to jump into structural salvage first, or do you want to wait a little bit and talk about some of the smaller features?
I do want to talk about a small conspiracy theory I have.
Okay.
Which is just that the difference in time between the start of CitizenCon and the Wave 1 PTU of 322 was 42 days. Just saying.
That's weird.
Certainly no way that's a coincidence. But yeah, structural salvage is obviously the big thing.
Did you count that?
Yeah, because I was like, you know what? How long? I just wanted to know how long it's been since CitizenCon, because I was like, because I was like, well, this is the first major patch where we're going to see stuff from CitizenCon, like some of the stuff from CitizenCon that we got shown actually be in the patch, right?
Sure.
Like the hair, some of the settlements and whatnot. And I was just curious how how long that took, and it was just it was 42 days, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
At least it was 42 days for me. I don't know how time zones work anywhere else. So
The Illuminati.
Exactly.
Very, very. What a coincidence. Nothing in this world is a coincidence. But
so structural salvage. Salvage is becoming more complete in general as they get this gameplay loop more and more full. Obviously 2023 has been the year of salvage. We finally got, the scrapping. They introduced the missions. They introduced us being able to salvage modules and weapons and cargo. And now we can finish off each ship. We can turn that into cargo now. And there's a lot of drama around it. And I'm a little bit disappointed that Thorsten already responded on Spectrum, because I had so many cool and fun points, and Thorsten addressed most of them. So the big thing, the reason why there was a lot of drama, obviously, well, a couple of big things. One is structural salvage is really boring and way too quick. I've seen people talk about well, I'm okay with it being boring. I'm okay with it being 1 click, 2 click, whatever. It's kind of like an idle mechanic or whatever. But if that's the case, then why does it happen 5 seconds later? Is my issue. It's not idle at all. It's the worst form of active, I guess. But that got addressed by Thorsten, which we'll show in a sec as well. The other big thing is people had a lot of preconceived notions, which were like fairly reasonable to have over the course of the years, about what they talked about with the Reclaimer and its claw. And
I think
at the moment,
very reasonable,
changed.
And it's not even just the claw. So I will I will look to try to bring it up on screen, but the one thing that really hit was there was a Q&A about the Vulture, and people were kind of asking about it, and they specifically said, we want salvage to not be a point and click thing. We want it to have skill. We want it to be meaningful. And then this is the first iteration that they came out with. And I think people were rightfully deserve, or it was okay for them to be upset with it. Now, with the statement that Torsten made, and I think I'll go ahead and bring that up now, because I think it's just too important at the moment not to. Let's see this button. But let's see, is this it? Yes. So this comment, I think, is pretty key here, where we're let me make it a little bit bigger for everybody. This comment, I think, is the key, where he is basically saying we wanted to get it out to you early, and that was how I ended my video, where my video was just a little guide on how it worked, but also sharing my opinions of like this exactly what you said. This is boring. It's too fast. You make too much money, and honestly, it's mining without any of the skill. So if you really look at it, you have a mining laser, a salvage laser that breaks the rock, and then you switch and it scoops the rock. It is the exact same mechanic. It is unimaginative. It is boring, and it's the same thing that we already have. And how I ended it was, if you come out with a statement and say, hey, we just wanted to get some of these features out to you because some of this stuff is actually worth gathering feedback on. For example, the internal cargo space, right? With both ships. That is definitely something we could talk about in the next few minutes, because there is feedback to give there. A lot. The Vulture, in my opinion, awesome. The Reclaimer, horrible. It makes everything terrible. It turns the Reclaimer into a solo ship, that specific feature. So that, that's worth gathering feedback on. That was worth giving to us. And if you said that, and hey, we got to wait for Maelstrom, blah, 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 blah. He basically wrote what I said to a T, and I'm okay with that. Right? You and I talked before any of this happened. And, the big thing is they also said, I'm going to try to look for it.
The bottom part, we have plans to make the fracturing part more skill driven.
No, it's actually a little bit different. Where he stated we wanted to give you something this early to see how you would react, and look at how we reacted. Not good.
Yeah,
but there's a reason why we didn't act good. Is because we've had 9 years of history with or 2014. So 10 years of history with the Reclaimer of what it was supposed to be. The claw was the major feature, and the claw is a fucking mining beam now. So people, without getting ahead of this, of course we're going to react that way. Because people have been waiting for this ship to be what they thought it was going to be forever, and then they didn't do that. So if this statement came out beforehand, nobody's complaining. And if they do, they're weird. You know? That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So I don't I guess I don't really have any history with the Reclaimer. Once again, I'm a more recent backer, like 2019, right? And even since then, because of just the way that development has been for so long, I have never taken anything that has been in concept prior to like 2020 as any amount of fact, to the point where things like the Reclaimer Claw, I had never assumed that it was going to get used to like any real degree. And so when they put it in, which right now it is just a VFX, it like that's all it is. So it's likely to get changed anyway. I didn't really care that much, and I did think it was a pretty cool asset regardless. So if they do change it to being like clamps or whatever, I do hope they keep it because I like the claw. But for me, it was more
like
the gameplay.
The way it looks, you mean?
Yeah. The way it looks is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think it looks better than the previous one. The more...
Yeah. But you brought up a good point earlier, though, of like, I think you did. I don't know remember if it was before the cast or during, of the Vulture and the Reclaimer, wanting the Reclaimer to be more unique in how it works versus the Vulture.
Yeah.
And in this system right now, first day patch 322, it's not. It's exactly the same in how it actually plays.
What makes it unique?
Yeah. Is that the thing that makes it unique is the thing that it looks like a claw. So yeah, no, it needs to have something else, right?
The claw. The claw is what makes it unique.
Actually, yeah. There was a couple of suggestions that I had heard from people of a way to make the claw work without it being like a massive technological like breakthrough in the game sort of thing. Which is, you just change the VFX in some sort of way to make the claw like smash into the ship and it starts breaking it apart or something like that.
Yeah.
That way you can still do the like vacuum sucking up of all the like weird small pieces and stuff, but then it feels a bit more like a claw. And so what I want to know from you, do you think the claw needs to have the actual gameplay needs to be different, or if it's just themed to be a claw, is that good enough?
I think we need to I don't care about the claw.
Okay.
As much, okay? But I do think that when you haven't been around forever, but that doesn't mean that you can't, somebody has to hold them accountable. And if we always say that it's okay, I wasn't expecting it, or any of these things to be that way, they get to continue the behavior. And the behavior isn't okay. To sell a picture, sell a dream, sell something to a player. And with the Reclaimer, I think it's different because everything was themed around the claw. And that's that, like with some things, I think I can kind of agree with you. Around this specific ship, I'm not sure I can, because they made this ship specifically around this one unique feature. You got to make that feature work. And the statement that they made says maybe they'll try and do it, but in the end, if you don't hold them accountable for these things, they're going to keep doing what they're doing, and they're going to do it with the the Orion, or they're going to do it, and the Orion is definitely going to change as well, right?
The rock cruncher in the front, that's like the similar sort of idea, right?
Yeah. Do you really think we're going to get a rock cruncher now? I don't. Like that's the thing is so now you're raising the price of a ship that's unique in a picture. How many times did they raise the price of the Reclaimer before this came out? Selling you on that thing, right? And that's where, again, my major issue is the gameplay is not fun. But there's still, and that's the only important thing in reality. But there is that element of, at some point, somebody has to be like, you can't keep doing this, guys. You cannot keep doing this. And this is one of those times where I think we as a community need to stand up and say, this isn't acceptable. You gotta give something here. You gotta do it. And that's it. And then if they come out and say, we tried and it's not possible, that's okay as well. Because you have to accept that. Right? And that's how I feel. But with Maelstrom, I can see it being possible. But in reality, if I was, putting my game designer hat on, I would have much rather us using a mining laser type thing and there be just fracture points. And you would just hit that point, break, the piece breaks off. Hit another point, break, piece pops off. Or you go and you place a breaching charge onto something, same concept. But in first person, it didn't have to be the claw necessarily for the gameplay to be fun. But what they delivered, I didn't like. But again, when it comes down to this specific ship like the Reclaimer, and there's probably a couple others that are going to run through this problem of the years before you got here, where they literally scammed us, Croncy. And this is one of those cases where they scammed people out of money. And I don't want to use that word, but it's more of using it as a meme. But they put something out there without knowing they were capable of doing it. And then when they actually tried to do it and do the process, maybe it didn't work out as easy, and we would be working on this thing forever. And again, I don't want to put any of the developers, even any of the marketing team on this one, because this was from 10 years ago. This is on Chris, Sandy, Ben, and that's pretty much it. This goes back to when the company was this big and they were all only in Austin. It's hard to be mad about something that old, but at the same time, they continue to sell the ship. They continue to raise the price. So sorry for that rant. It's not about the game, but I think I still think that's an important thing to say and bring up. So
two things. First one, so we talked about this like the other day, right? My thing was that I didn't expect it to be much more than this, just because they only told us a couple months ago. Like they showed us the ISC where they were testing the mechanic out, and it was super bare bones, and it was click, go. So I wasn't expecting any more in-depth gameplay, I guess, in general. I was surprised by how amazing the VFX on the Vulture are for the mechanic. It is so cool when it does its like little sound wave thing and then electrical sparks and stuff. But I also didn't expect this to be the final implementation either, right?
Nobody does.
So,
nobody does. But you remember you don't, but mining, maybe you do. I don't remember what year exactly mining came in, but the first this is what a lot of the arguments have been. Mining wasn't as good as it is now. No, but mining, like, you moved your bar, it had skill, it was it was more in depth still.
Not
even in depth, it was just tactile. It doesn't have to be in depth. Like, hull scraping is infinitely more tactile than what we currently have with structural salvage. I literally left click and then I can take my hands off the keyboard. It's just this is bad, dude. So I'll let you go. I'm gonna put on my screen for you so you can see. By the way,
the other thing I wanted to mention is I think there is this really weird, easy way out that originally I thought everyone would be keen on, but based on my YouTube comments, maybe not. We have this cool mechanic that, in general, called mining gadgets that are mostly useless in mining, but do have like a couple of small cases. know what's really cool about it? The whole thing with the mining gadgets is that you're trying to find the correct frequencies and stuff. What does it look like you're doing in this structural salvage? It looks like you're using frequencies to blow up the ship.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that'd be a really cool way just to make that. It doesn't make it harder. It just makes it a little bit more involved, and I feel like it would change the entire mechanic.
Yeah, and I would love for something to be completely unique from mining, which is why I've kind of more brought up the like breaking up the pieces thing. But it would be fine to do it that way too, because taking what you already have and what you already know, and then you can add that depth to it similarly to the way they did mining. And again, that was really my arguments, is just make it a little bit more involved, and nobody's going to complain that much. You know, they might want it. The feedback might be, oh, I would have liked it if it was like this. Oh, I would have liked a little bit more of that. And that means that you did a pretty good job. But I mean, they're getting some heat on Spectrum and everything from this one for sure, right? And I think deservedly so. But and the next, we love Torsten here, so it's not. I really don't want this to be on the devs, but
love him so much I ghosted him at CitizenCon.
I know. What a terrible person you are.
So then on the Reclaimer itself, because you brought that up right at the start as well, about it's a sort of more of a balance issue, but it's a big balance issue. The Reclaimer benefits way, way, way more from structural salvage than the Vulture does.
Yes.
Like multitudes times more.
Yep.
And so how do they fix that? Because it feels like a solo ship right now. And I think there's a couple of ways, right?
Yeah.
So you can you can make hull scraping worth more. That's going to inevitably, whether that's nerfing one, buffing one, whatever, make hull scraping worth more for your time is going to mean that you're going to still want people on your turrets. You can bring in barriers, like maybe you can't structurally salvage until you've hull scraped a certain amount. I don't know. I feel like it's in that sort of web, but it is also relevant to know that now the salvage missions as well are going to have to be rebalanced again, because it's way too easy for that now too. Like everyone on live right now is using an SRV to move a hammerhead out of the way. You don't even need to do that now. You can just go there with a Reclaimer, structurally salvage, and then not only do you get the 250k, you get all the cargo that comes in with that from the salvage, right? So
this cargo was one constellation that was an unlawful one. The moment it popped, the mission ended. I wasn't in not an armistice, trespassing zone, and I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. I personally believe, and I'm sorry I was getting the video up, so I missed the beginning of your comments. The only change you really need to do with this is that it can't hold as much in its internal cargo hold, the buffer zone.
I disagree with that for one main reason. So I think like you see a ship like the Hammerhead. If you're going to salvage that, you expect that to be worth a lot of cargo, like as in physical volume of cargo, not necessarily money, right?
Sure.
And so I think it's really cool to be able to say, yeah, like that is 400 SCU of cargo. And so I've been able to put almost all of that in my ship, and there's a little bit wasted. I think the balance is just make that not worth anywhere near as much as it is.
Okay,
because then you're incentivized to do the other mechanics.
Fair enough, but just hear me out, because it's a multi-crew ship. And this is why I feel this way, is let's take a little bit of what you said around the mining like mechanic of breaking things down, and and then you have to, and let's go even further into the mining. You know, when you point at a rock when you mine and it turns purple, and I scoop only the rock that I'm pointing at? If we did something like that with this mechanic, then let's say the buffer zone is 120 SCU on this ship. You bring in 120 SU, you need a person down there moving the boxes out of the way. You do them 16 SU at a time. You're going to get through that quite quickly, but somebody needs to manage it at least. And it adds the reason I wanted it that way is because it adds the multi-crew aspect to the game. When you run into my buffer zone is full, I got to go clear it. Hopefully it would become enough of an annoyance that you need the players there to help you. That was kind of my mentality around that.
Sure.
was that specific idea. And instead of saying, it's not more valuable, because in the end, we know construction materials are a placeholder, hopefully. Because again, the roadmap said refinable material. So titanium, gold, other things, right?
Yeah. And I guess my solution to like my concern from that would just be, yeah, cool, you crack your hammerhead, don't make it one massive 400 SCU chunk. Right? You just make it a couple of smaller chunks.
Exactly.
And then it's exactly the same. So yeah.
And if you're scooping in a little at a time, you could choose when to stop. Right? Yep. And then you choose when to stop. Now, I don't think that helps it 100%, because it has to be annoying enough for you to want to bring a second person. And it's not that annoying to have to run down the ship and clear out 100 SCU and then do it again.
Not really.
Right? So I don't think it's a perfect solution, but I think it is one. Now, for the Vulture, I thought it was the perfect solution. It solved all the problems with the Vulture. I'll try to find my video of the Vulture here.
The Vulture is a solo ship, and it never felt like it. It had the literal reverse problem, is that you always felt like you had to have someone in the back in order to make the time worth it. And it felt great. It felt really good to scoop up a whole ship, finish scooping the whole ship, and then go mess with the cargo when necessary. So that was great.
Let's see if I can find it.
I think in general, the idea is fantastic. Maybe, I mean, there's always... engineering is the new server meshing will fix everything, and server meshing is not even.
Oh my god, I know. But, somebody said that, and I was like, "How does that change any of this? The gameplay is boring. Engineering is its own thing. We're just talking about the gameplay."
I don't think it'll make it less. I don't think it'll make it less boring. But there are reasons to say that, like, well, it's very likely that Salvage. I'm going to call them lasers, but they're more like sound shooters. Will require a lot of power. It's very likely that when you're making containers, that'll require a lot of power. But all of this is also assumptions. So really, just balance it for now.
When your ship is completely soloable, and the only power you need is to your salvage lasers, who cares, right? That's why, again, your argument around even just from the aspect of the salvage missions needing to change a little bit, a little more risk involved in those could help too, to prevent that problem as well, right? Just standing there and not even having to be in your seat could be a problem, right? So
how about there isn't a timer? How about we just have them come and defend the thing immediately?
Randomly.
Get some NPCs in there. Or randomly, yeah.
I just this one, I'm not heated about it, but it is. I'm bummed out. Yeah, I'm a little bummed out about it. I'm not gonna lie. It would have been. I expected more. And we got what we got. It is what it is, I guess. But yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what the thing is that comes in this week that Thorson was talking about in his comments. Although he does sort of mention that, like, it's probably not going to be a huge deal. But any amount of any interaction here would be welcome.
Yeah, so just to like reiterate that point, we're still working hard to improve with what we can in our time remaining. It is the end of the year, and my team start to go on their well-deserved vacation, including me. There will be one thing that will add a little complexity, but more on that next week once it makes it in the build. So wonder what that could be. We'll leave that to figure it out, but just to make sure everybody's like very clear that they do plan on adding a little something to give it a little bit more complexity. And again, after this statement, I do feel okay. I just hope that they keep working on it and it's good, because again, I think that look at the little conversation we had about just the internals of both ships. And there's definitely some feedback on the good side and the bad side when it comes to that. Right. Another thing, I don't know if you noticed, I'll pop over here and then bring the video back up. Did you see the crafting?
Yes, I did.
Hell yeah,
I noticed it because I tried to go make so first day I'm like, oh well, I'll just go make my little tool, but we required 2 different materials. And not only 2 different materials, but a total of 0.2 SCU for one multi-tool. which means a couple of things. First off, I would say our first official blueprint, proper blueprint, take material, make thing. But also, it almost, I need to do the math. It almost implies the profitability of creating multi-tools. Definitely not profitable right now because construction materials are worth way too much.
Yeah, I'm looking for my phone, but I don't have it on me. I was going to do the math.
Assuming they get nerfed, you can make 5 multi-tools with 1 SEU of cargo.
Okay, well, a multi-tool is like 450 credits.
So yeah, they just need to make construction materials worth nothing, and then everything I said makes sense.
No, but they can't be worth nothing. They can't be worth nothing, or nobody will do it. I do think that like one day that they're gonna cut down the price of recycled material, composite, construction materials, because once it becomes crafting materials, the value of them is less relevant. It's what you make out of them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they raised it up to 750 now. I still.
Ooh. I don't think it's worth it at the moment still, but it's much closer than it used to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Because they were 7K before, approximately. So yeah.
Not only that, but it was also like it was 0.85 SEU of RMC to make a multi-tool previously.
That's what I mean. It was about 7,000 if you were going to sell the RMC. So it's it's awesome. Every single thing listed here needed the 2 materials. Which is great. So I love that. I really do.
The tractor beam attachment, I think.
Nope. True Hold does. Oh, no. It says 4 seconds. Yeah, no. Okay, I saw a second line. Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. And that's just construction materials, which is interesting as well. So,
and then just because it's on that screen as well.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more about the
cargo?
like intermittent cargo. That's fantastic. So if you're on a reclaimer, which is like, I hope they don't reduce it too much because this is still fantastic, is if you do fill up that cargo hold of 360, I think it is at the moment, right? And you press create a 16 SCU box auto eject, you just get to start spamming them going, right? You don't have to
That's what I'm doing in the video.
It'll just fill it up itself. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. So I had about 120 SCU. It was one, I think, Connie. And that's what I did here. I launched both of them. And now you see me sitting in the middle, and I'm like, all right, which one? Which one's coming next? All right, this one, I'm going to throw it over there. And then the other one, I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw it over there. So see, they're both popping up at the same time.
Yeah.
And then as I pull these out, the next one's going to come up. And again, just to be very clear, and I did find our Vulture where I was, here it is. I did find where we scrapped with a Vulture here. And these are the visuals you were talking about, which are absolutely awesome. Again,
it's so good.
If I wanted anything, my dream of the Vulture was the concept art, and I thought it was so cool. You break it down, and this is how they communicated it as well, was that things would float in between the 2 arms, and then they would be broken up into pieces. They're breaking up before they get there, and I think it just isn't hitting as hard as it could. But those are just visuals, and that can easily change over time. So I'm less concerned about that than anything else. But the day that something goes through these beams and breaks up into pieces, I'm going to come.
Yeah.
But here's down in the cargo bay, and this is what was so special about that, is you got 14 SCU of cargo. It still only spits out the 1 SCU, but just like Croncy mentioned, it's going to spit 14 out at the same in a row.
Like pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yep. 1 second in between. So you're going down your ladder, you're moving 14, 12, 13 SCU boxes, and you're going back up your ladder, and you're selling, and then you're doing it again. So welcome to what the mechanic should have been the entire time. They found the solution, and I love it. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It's basically doing mining, again, in a lot of ways. You got your stuff in the bags, and you're actually able to process them on the ship at the same time. And so everything's kind of coming out of your bags, and you go and sell it, and then you can fill up your bags again. So technically, you can fill up twice, sell, go back to your ship, pull everything out, sell again at the landing zone. So technically, you could sell 28 SCU of RMC / construction components for the moment on the ship. I thought this was the best improvement to the ship. It is now a solo ship again.
Yep.
Hooray.
Yeah.
So
one change I want, the only one change I want, is with the VFX, and it's not the ship itself, but it's the VFX of the ships that you're trying to blow up. Looks like a weird placeholder VFX.
It is.
So it'll probably change anyway. So
it'll definitely change. I mean, I'm a little less concerned about sharing any info about Evo anymore because they don't enforce it at all. Just a little less concerned. I'm not going to say anything too crazy, but they stated there that the VFX were placeholder and are subject to change. I think they improved to us already a little bit, but the overall, I think we all expect it to change. My wife saw it and was like, "Ew, that looks terrible." And I'm like, it's wave 1 PTU, lady, relax. Like, I'm telling her she's got to calm down, and she doesn't even play the game. So, yeah, I fully expect it to change. I don't think it's anyone's Star Citizen expectations there. But again, that's the Vulture on the screen. As you can see, boxes are just popping out, filling up the cargo hold. Awesome. Just huge win as far as this goes. And I love it. So it's just unfortunate that this mechanic, I think, in my opinion, broke the Reclaimer a little bit and made it a solo ship.
Yeah, it doesn't scale particularly well with how all of the rest of it is at the moment.
Other thing, I don't know if we mentioned it too much, the Reclaimer 1 SCU all the way through 16 SCU boxes.
Yep.
Awesome.
So its own bigger machines now as well.
Yeah, for sure. So love that. Love that. I'm super happy. And another thing that I mentioned at the top of the video that I made in my feedback around this was I wasn't happy when hull scraping came out. I was like, yo, this is there's no skill. And then they came out and were like, yo, we wanted a little bit more of a chill gameplay loop. And I was like, okay, cool. And then my other aspect of it was like, okay, cool, as long as the other stuff ends up being a little bit more in depth. And then they gave us something with less depth. And I was like, what the okay, come on.
I will say, even if they didn't add anything to this new mechanic at all, even if they stayed exactly as is, I think overall salvaging has worked up to be a pretty solid mechanic, because it's more about it's become a very, I guess, utilitarian mechanic where it's in mining, you're just going to a location to mine whatever rocks are there. In salvage, it's more about choosing what you're going to salvage, including modules. But a lot of that ability isn't in there still anyway. It's
a Star Citizen problem. Every other MMO you play in, you go up to a rock, you click E, and you mine it, that's essentially what you're doing now with salvaging. So, this would be acceptable in another game. It just doesn't, it's not living up to the standard that CIG set for themselves and we set for them. And I think that's the reason why people are feeling the way they are. Yep. That's it. Pretty simple.
Also, people that are obsessed with salvage are really obsessed with salvage, it seems.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to the ship, Croncy. That ship is really special. And I think people are really bummed out about the way it turned out. I think that's what it really comes down to is there are very few flagship, true flagship ships of Star Citizen. The Band of Merchantman's one. We saw how passionate people were about that. The Reclaimer is one, and the 890 Jump is one, and there might be one or two others. I'm sure Chadow's going to spam a bunch of ships they love, but in
their favorite ships.
But in reality, I think there's a handful of really, really flagship ships, and the Reclaimer's one, and this didn't do it justice, and that's really it, So, is there anything else you want to touch on structural salvage wise before we move on? To callers specifically, we're gonna let some people say their piece.
I feel like we covered most of it.
Okay, cool. Let's bring in our first caller then, and it's the 5-star. Do you know the 5-star?
I think I do. I've seen 5-star in a couple of chats before. I think
he makes YouTube videos. He's a YouTuber.
How you doing, 5-star?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up?
Morning. Just here getting some B-roll for the next video.
Shameless plug. Let me do the plugs. Don't be shameless.
Me first. You're cool. Yeah, I'm finally home. I get to talk to you on my mic and everything.
Hell yeah.
So I wanted to talk about structural salvage, man, because that was interesting. I think for a lot of people, it's going to come down to your first experience. For me, I jumped in, I got in my Vulture, went out, saw the VFX, thought it was awesome. I did like one of the entry level missions, so it was like a little fighter. So I went and fit it between the arms, and it broke, and it came in, and I was like, "This is awesome."
Mm.
And then I saw the Reclaimer, and I was like, "Oh, it's no longer the claw; it's the straw." And
It
The
is
straw.
Long live
That's
the straw.
hilarious.
So I get the frustrations, but I'm gonna say I'm with Croncy on this one, man. I'm totally with you. I'm not as long as a backer. I'm not a 10-year individual. So I'm not super married to the Reclaimer or anything, but I do want it to grab and munch and all that. But my immediate thought was Maelstrom. We saw it, we know it's coming, and we know that's what's needed. So
Yep.
I'm okay with the beam thing. My big thing is the gameplay needs to be there. It needs to be interactive, and it's not right now.
Yeah, I feel like the vast majority of people who, first off, I don't think there's anyone who has no complaints about some aspect of what happened with the Reclaimer and the feature, but it just depends on what you're complaining about. I think most people are just a little bit disappointed that there's not much to it. It's just too simple. Yeah.
Agreed. I think someone in chat had a pretty decent idea. I think it was like you go in, you do like you go to fracture mode, you kind of do a little scan, and you find a weak point, and you just kind of tap your mouse, tap, 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 to get it to like the perfect spot, and then you break it. And if you do it good, it breaks. Too powerful, you lose the salvage. Too light, you start over. So basically,
you don't even
mining.
need to. Yeah, you don't even need to add like the explosions that mining would do either, right? And damage people or anything like that. If you want to maintain that salvage is a little bit more chill, maybe a little less explosions, or But then I also just my heart of hearts does not want them to make mining, but mining ships. Right.
Yeah.
It's you follow this thing for 10 years and you want it. You have an idea in your mind of it being unique and everything being unique. And I know nothing can be unique. We'll talk about the new settlements in a little bit. And somebody in chat was like, reused assets from Pyro. And I'm like, bro, if they don't reuse assets, the game's never coming out. You know what I mean? Like, come on, shut up. But at the same time, again, about like flagship things. You kind of want those flagship things to be really special, and Salvage is one of those things that I was hoping to be really, really special. And for now, I don't even think that this is like the best starting off point for it. If we're starting from here and going somewhere else, I sort of part of me, a very small part of me, wishes that we don't even start if this is where you're going to start. Wait for Maelstrom. But the other major part of me is so happy that we got to give feedback on some of the things. The Vulture is in a good place, and it's a very small part of me, but it's still there.
I think I'm super hype about it just because, man, we did Jumptown, and you don't know how happy it made me to move shipwrecks with the tractor beam last patch, and then to now be able to just completely delete them from existence. It's huge to have in, no matter how simple the first implementation is,
Sure.
But as far as the gameplay goes, I like your idea, Croncy, of little breaching charges a la mining gadgets. I think would be great. It's probably pretty easy for them to do too, without breaking everything.
I will say I didn't mean like breaching charges. I meant more just some sort of mechanic that's like find the frequency, and then you can use your the straw. But I have heard other people say like breaching charges, and apparently they have at some point in the 40 years that Star Citizen's been being developed, they have apparently mentioned that breaching charges or like some amount of explosives was going to be a thing. And I don't think necessarily there's any reason why they can't still do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can kind of tell this whole system was built with the Vulture in mind.
It really feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, hence the straw. But I think I woke up today and I saw the messages from several, and it put me at ease, man. Because I guess now it's just let's let them cook from now till live. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just gonna. I finally found it, so I'm just bringing up the one thing quickly on screen from the Vulture Q&A. People were like, "Will there be any risks associated with salvage akin to mining?" And they were like, "Definitely. Like mining, we don't want a simple click and leave mechanic, but to require some level of skill to control the return on investment for salvage materials." So I just wanted to make
that
sure
applies to everything except structured salvage, apparently.
yeah, and munching and hole scraping, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and somebody in chat says, "Face it, this was a rush job." It was, but
Yeah,
we started the show out saying it's the end of the year, and I guess we can. I'll pose this question to you, both Croncy and 5-star. If structural salvage is not in 322, what is?
Arena Commander.
Yeah, like it's not a very there's what video can they make? How can they make this actually look good? Right? In their patch video. It's going to be hard. So I think that they really felt they needed that feature, and we know they had a go no go.
Mm-hmm.
Where they would they goad. And the thing, and I'm just gonna rant for a second. I posed a question to you and I didn't even let you answer. I need to rant about this. We have a go no go about the cockpit of the Santokai. No go. We have a go no go about gameplay, and it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Oh, Mike, you didn't see the Santokai. You don't know.
I mean, how bad could it have looked? These artists are incredible. Let's go.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Have I ever played Hardspace Shipbreaker? Somebody asked. In my video, I had Hardspace Shipbreaker music. That was the background. Not because
so you don't play it, you just listen to the albums.
Exactly. I really like the album. No, it was just that's where I think a lot of people would have liked to see the game be. But the reason I'll bring it up again, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna shut the fuck up for 5 minutes from this point forward, is I think a lot of people wanted that, but you got to recognize that was a game made specifically for that. And how many years did it take to make that game possibly? And it was just that, right? So chill out. But yeah, please respond to all the things that I just said.
So I mean, I think the work is still not done. So we gotta let them cook. I think the important thing is that we focus on the things that we can change. Just like good advice generally in life, focus on what can be changed and not what can't be right now. And I think what can't be is the physicalization of the claw, but what can be is the gameplay and other things like the buffer. I agree with you 100%, Mike. The buffer was the best thing to happen to the Vulture and the worst thing to happen to the Reclaimer. I think maybe lowering it to like 320 or something would be a lot better.
That's 40 SCU. It's 360 now. You think that really makes it? What percentage of 360 is that?
Well, to be fair, I haven't really used the Reclaimer, so I don't have a gauge on it yet. But I mean, if you go and eat a hammerhead, how much construction materials do you get?
You get 400 from the main hull, so you actually lose 40 SCU of cargo, which is its own weird thing, which balancing will come into it.
Okay, so it should be something less than like what you would get from one big ship, at least. So maybe like in the 200s or like 100 or so. But 720 is ridiculous.
It's not 720.
No, 720 is how much cargo it can hold.
Like in its internal plus. So it's 360 times 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both filler stations get 360, right?
No. They share now.
Oh, okay.
There is a magic inventory inside the ships now. They decided to say it is stored in a hopper somewhere that you can't see, 360 SU of cargo. Then you have to pull out that 360 SU of cargo in order to fill it up again, or whatever. If I pull out 10 SU, I can fill it 10 more, and then so on and so forth. But I'm not. What is the cargo hold of the Reclaimer? Is it a total of 360, both in the main area and the cargo area? I'm assuming. Because
it's advertised as 720. It's advertised as 720, but I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate at the moment.
With the state of the Reclaimer, it's hard to say. Yeah, okay. Interesting then. Yeah, for me, it just comes down to, I think if it's around 100, you're gonna have to empty it enough to where it's like that's a job for somebody. You need to create a job for somebody in that area. Otherwise, what's the point of it? So
agreed. And I think now that you can spit out the 8s and the 16s, you technically stack too high now in the processing deck, right?
You can't. You can't stack the 16s too.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But that's what I'm saying. They're naturally stacked in itself. It's too high, so it's more cargo than you had before on the processing deck.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't played with it yet. I'm gonna jump in today and give it a try. But the main thing for me was just, man, that buffer gotta be lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Croncy's the amount of money on it being lower? Do you like that the construction components are more expensive, or you there? Did he die?
Oh, I thought you were asking Croncy. Sorry.
No. Croncy brought up the point. I was curious what you thought about it.
I feel like it has to be worth less than scraping, right? Because like you said, this is meant for crafting and base building and stuff, right? It's literally called construction materials. So when you keep in mind, they could start working on base building as early as next month. So having a system like this kind of makes sense, but at the same time, like you said, it's supposed to be refinable materials. So it does feel very placeholder. So it's hard to even comment on like what this price should be, because I'm sure this is going to change entirely.
Yeah, I think it's priced so we use it. Very similar to the way RMC felt like. I felt like RMC was priced so we did it.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not just the price that needs the rebalancing though. It is like, if they bring down the amount of internal pipe cargo, which is what I've been calling it, then they also have to make the like when you crack a ship, the amount that you get from each of those parts has to be lower as well, because otherwise you're just losing cargo the whole time if it was using the same system as right now. So there's like a lot of balancing, like a ton of balancing that needs to go into this. But yeah, I don't think anyone, other than one person in my chat, I don't think anyone disagrees that it's too much money right now.
Yeah, it's insane. I kind
of
like your
nerfed everything, right? And now it's back.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea you had of like maybe at least for the missions, you have to scrape a certain amount before you can crack it. I think that might help. I don't know. Like you always say, Mike, it's not our job to figure it out, but we can let them know what we think is not fun. And
I never like the let's create the solutions for them. They're the professionals. Say what's fun, say what's not fun. I think you can give ideas of like, a little bit of an idea of what you have in your head, but if you get too in the weeds with it, it's just it doesn't benefit anybody in any way at all.
Yeah.
Imagine thinking you're smarter than a game developer is just funny to me.
I never need to imagine, Mike.
It's just I could never think that I know better than them. I just know what I find fun, and I just share what I find fun and what I find not fun. That's it.
Yep.
But yeah, I think 5-star. Are we calling it a call, or do you have anything else you want to touch on real quick?
No, I think that's just about everything. Probably the only other thing you said right before I called was I think maybe Croncy said it. The idea of like, oh, this is our first blueprint. Imagine if we had to loot the blueprints for the multi-tool, the tractor beam, find it, and then install it in the Vulture. That's total hopium right there, though. Just give my 2 cents.
I think that would be so bad for gameplay right now. But in the future, yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on, man. This was fun.
Damn.
Fun as always.
Yeah. Cheers for calling in.
I just got so excited. Later, 5-star. I just got so excited.
We got him hoping again.
Yeah, I'm hoping again. I just got so hyped. I guess let's bring in another caller, and then we can move on to the other aspects of 322.
Yep.
Have you ever talked to the doc yet?
I don't think so. That's not a name that I remember.
Long time caller, hasn't called in a while.
Yep.
Hey, Doc.
The Doc, how you doing?
Hello. What's up, man?
I know it's been a while.
It has. How are you? First off, how are you?
No, I've been good. Work has been a bit sort of just kicked up 10 notches.
All right.
Fun.
Coming up to the holidays like everyone else, I'm assuming.
Well, no, because I've had I don't really do holidays in IT. We kind of just work all throughout the year. So yeah, don't work in IT. It's not fun.
I remember how excited you were for that job. But anyway, let's talk about 322. So
Yeah,
Before we talk about 322, I am frozen. Apparently,
you are. Oh,
Let me
I know
reset my
why.
camera. Oh, there we go.
Fixed. I must have minimized Discord. My
Okay.
bad.
So Salvage.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the stuff. I've not tried it myself because I have to wait until it's wave 5 or whatever wave they've got going on now.
Oh,
So-
for you, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
is it Salvage you want to talk about, or was there something else you wanted to chat about?
It's more Salvage I want to talk about.
Okay.
Like I bought the Vulture because of what it looked like and how that loop worked, or how it was supposed to work.
Like
I'm
in the
not-
concept images, what
Yeah.
it looked like the actual mechanic. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, with like the breach charges and the like having to scan the ship basically, and the breaching and the wall, whatever they showed off back then.
Mm.
And it's kind of like it looks something like that, but it's not. It doesn't look enough like the breaching. There's no breaching involved. I think it's very just point and click. Wait a couple
Yeah.
of minutes, and I don't like that. I kind of want to have some skill to that.
Yep.
If you hit the wrong area of the ship, you could go kaboom, and you.
Oh, so you want
don't.
risk as well?
Yeah.
I do too, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I think when hull scraping came in and I was like, "There's no risk to this. I'm gonna hate this." I ended up really liking it. So
Mm.
I'm trying to hold judgment on the risk part for now. A lot of people make comments like, there can't be risk in everything you do, and it's like, I think they're right on that aspect. Everything can't be like, am I gonna die in this second, so
There
I'm
doesn't
okay with
there
it.
doesn't have to be risk in everything you do, but it's nice when you are able to add in like elements of, all right, cool. Well, mining there doesn't have to be risk if all I do is go and mine, a rock that's only iron and I don't know, some other garbage material.
True.
But
Yeah, something
then
really easy.
but then when I do want to do something like Contanium, then there's the risk or whatever, right?
Yeah, or like
And
Terranite,
I think
right?
you can
With
do
its
that.
explosiveness.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do something like that with Salvage, where certain ships, maybe ones that have been modified or something,
Mhm.
that you go to salvage, are riskier to break, but might make you a little bit more money. And then you get closer to satisfying everyone. You're obviously never going to, but if you can get close to it, that's good.
That's true. I mean, maybe it's just not structural salvage that would have the risk. Maybe it would be
Yeah.
how you
Maybe it's the modules or something, or
yeah. Extracting fuel or whatever, right? So
yeah.
but I don't know, Doc. What else? How about this? Was there anything that you liked that you saw? Right, because I think a lot of people are going to come on and complain, but
I did
there's
like one thing about the sort of the new stuff being added with sort of the internal cargo. That is like a game changer for the Vulture, because we're right now it's just like point and click, and then I have to exit the seat and then go back. Game changer.
game
Awesome.
changer for
Yep.
real. Yeah, absolutely.
It made the
And-
ship fun.
Yeah.
It made the ship fun.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I can't wait for it.
The idea of this is sort of why I mentioned, like, don't give solutions, because you just say, hey, it really sucks going up and down the ladder, and then the professionals figured out the best solution. I think I didn't hear anybody mention the buffer stuff. I casually was like, damn, I wish the Vulture was more like the Prospector. That was like the closest thing that I got to it, but that's nowhere near what they actually gave. Was I just wanted the Vulture to like fill up in a way like you had the external. It was already on the ship. You weren't having to, just like the Prospector was. That was my suggestion, and they came up with something so much better, because I think creating the boxes also is very cathartic and very rewarding, fun, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite nice having to like sort all that out after you've scraped a ship.
I created that, like you don't get to say that very much in the game. So like when you create something, it just feels good, I guess. So I don't
But
know.
So
especially
on
doing
That's
it
my
more than
crafting feels.
yeah, but especially doing it more than one box every 5 minutes.
Yes. Way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. The other thing that I at first was like, oh, Salvage is broken again. Because I was confused the first time I jumped in. When you hull scrape or gather in, the cargo hold is so much bigger. It's not one
Yep.
SU anymore. So it was like
It's like 14 what is
0.01.
it?
14, yeah. So it's
Oh, is
like
it 14? Okay.
it's 14. I'm scraping, and then it's like 0.01, and I'm like, what is this? So it was like I felt like it was going slower. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but obviously
It did, but
Doc,
it
you
didn't.
can't.
It didn't feel like bad. You know.
Yeah, I was wondering if the issues had come back because the way it is on live is like a good feel, I think.
Yeah.
But again, if you're not wasting time going up and down as much, if it's a little slower, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Somebody in chat said I suggested the SCU buffer for the Vulture months ago on Spectrum. I don't believe you.
Got one upvote, but it's from Torsten.
Yeah, exactly. It's yoink, good idea. But that's what we're here for, right? The feedback.
Yeah.
It's that maybe somebody did it and they were like, yo, that's a good idea. But yeah. I don't know. Anything else, Doc, you want to chat about?
I think with the whole structural side of it now, I do hold the view that like you should have to scrape the ship to like a certain amount before you can actually crack it open and do the structural side of it. I don't know.
I think
just
that's
my view.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be a very large percentage, and I think I'm okay with
Oh
that.
no, it should be
Maybe like 25% of the ship or something, or maybe if you want to get super crazy, maybe certain areas so you expose the areas that you need to break. If you want to take this to like the craziest levels and be we want to get theory crafty, maybe you have to scrape the areas to break the pieces into the types of sizes you wanted or something. But I think that's what a lot of people have issue with, though, right? Is that you're very quickly breaking down everything, and you would want to involve the whole process. I worry. The reason why I said I hope it's very little. I worry about forcing people to do things they don't want to do. In a sandbox
If
game,
you have
right?
like a hammerhead or like an 890, that'll take ages to whole scrape.
Yeah, if they wanted you to get to 50%, right?
And it's like over 100 chips. How do you do that?
Great suggestion in chat. The skill should increase the yield. So doing something like that should increase the yield you get. I think that's a fantastic idea. Now, obviously, it increases the yield just generally because you're getting RMC, but I love that idea. I don't know how to do that, but that's the type of feedback that they can figure out how skill increases the yield. Let them figure that stuff out. But I would love to see that happen, of course. Doc?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
There's just not too much else I want to talk about really, apart from like IAE.
It's a big topic, It makes sense.
It's a bit, I
mean, IAE did end.
Yeah.
How did you feel about IAE?
Just not really excited, honestly, and just the same thought I have about the game overall. Really, just that's a thing that's happening now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Doc was, if I remember, was a couple years ago. Doc, right? Like maybe around pandemic time, was super excited about the game. Then that excitement started to fade. Like for most people. So I think that's where we're at. But Doc, I'm gonna say goodbye. But I am so happy you called. It's been a while. I'm glad you're doing well. And I hope to hear from you soon, man. So I appreciate it.
Yep.
We'll talk to you soon, Doc. Happy holidays if I don't talk to you.
All right. Thanks.
Later, man.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Doc is a legend of the podcast. He would call there. It took a really long time to get this podcast going, and because it required people to call. Doc called every single week during the pandemic for years. This podcast wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Doc, so he's the man.
But you don't get a percentage, Doc. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, dude. But I guess you want to move on to some of the other things.
Because there's a lot of other stuff in the game.
Exactly. Nothing as like super featureful as this, but what are some things you want to talk about? And if I have any,
I mean,
fun footage, I'll bring it up.
I think you don't have footage of this, but it is the first thing you'll encounter coming into the game, which is the new hairstyles that we got to see at CitizenCon. They look cool. Yeah, they look cool. They've got some weird physics interactions though.
Do they? I gotta.
Yeah, you can make them you can make the hair fly almost.
Oh wow,
it's very strange. But that'll it'll get fixed.
I had it for a second. Oh no, I lost it. I have the very bald hair.
So see, I went with a full mullet.
Wait, there's a mullet?
Almost. It's long enough to be a mullet, but like it's still too long at the top. But it's almost a mullet. We've been calling it the Fabio. So yeah, the hair looks great. They did a good job with that. Although it weirdly looks like the hair strands look too thick. It's still infinitely better than what we had.
Infinitely better, but hair's. Yeah. I think how long is hair? It's always going to be scuffed.
I swear, it is every game dev's nightmare.
Yeah,
simulating hair. But that was kind of cool. Do you have the footage or?
I'm trying to because it's such a long video, getting to this tiny little part of my hair. That was my hair.
You can see your hair there.
That's basically all I had. On. Yeah, like that's all. I was just trying to get it to like the perfect spot, but I didn't have too much.
So it's only 20 hairstyles that have come through. There's way more that are on their way, and we still don't have like the hair coloring stuff or anything like that. But it was the first thing from CitizenCon that we actually saw in game. Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There's so many things. Yeah, go.
I have something. The boxes that you can buy at the cargo decks. 1 through 8.
Yeah.
So it's very simple for now, but it's one of those like where the game is going. I got to rant about this. There's some rants today. I'm sorry. Do you see what I'm doing on the screen? I am knocking myself over with boxes, dropping them on the ground, but we weren't allowed to do this with mining components.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this with mining lasers, but I could do it with a giant 8 SCU box. We can't do it with guns. We can't do it with internal components for ships. Yeah.
Yep.
So why was this okay and that wasn't okay? I don't know. But hopefully this leads to that like at some point, because in the end, it's a video game. If it appears out of nowhere, I don't care. I wish we went to the point of fun and then to the point of realism sometimes, and this would be one of those situations where they were. They're very simple. 1 through 8 SCU. You open them, and they're just like a 1 SCU box that you create with your ship, or a 2 SCU box, but they attach to the cargo grid. It's that simple. I put ship components in one of the boxes. You can't name them, but you can take the boxes, fill them up, and then bring them back into your internal inventory. Bring them back. You can take them back and forth. So for organization, it's great. So think your starting location with shit everywhere. You can now buy some boxes, throw all the crap that you don't care about in an 8 SCU box. It's gone, right? My armor's all in one box. Your mining components all in one box. It's going to create organization like no other. So there's definitely some positives that come from it. Sorry,
that feels like a big and good precursor for freight elevators. I do hope they let us name them soon, though, because naming would be key. I mean, we've been talking about quality of life changes ever since I joined the podcast, and like it's continued with this patch, so it'll probably happen at this rate.
Yeah. It's just when they decide to do it or prioritize it. There's a little bug at the top. You can see there's like a bunch of tabs.
That's all inventory is happening with that at the moment.
At first I was like, oh, holy! I thought it was seeing the nearby inventories and I was going to be able to open them. Nope, just a bug. Just a bug. But that is, I think, one of actually the highlight, like, quality of life features that it's the stepping stone to get us to where we need to go. Not there yet, but very good.
It's also going to make my Hunger Games event that I do way easier.
Tell me about this.
So every now and then we do an event where we get everyone to drop into some sort of crater, usually on Microtech, and we do like a battle royale, and I drop armor and weapons and stuff from the sky into the arena.
Yo, that's sick.
And I used to have to spend an entire day creating boxes in an Ursa rover by blowing it up over and over and over again.
Not anymore.
Much easier. Awesome.
Much easier. What's your next feature?
The next one's probably the one that I'm most excited for. As normal, I love locations, and we got a bunch of new ones, and they're a lot of fun. So, derelict settlements. We know, like, they've been working on them pretty much nonstop since they introduced them last year. I think it was last year, right? Yes, early last year.
It was an ISC
with the Reclaimer. Yeah.
Oh, with the Reclaimer, that was last year, and then we had an ISC this year for actual settlements.
Yeah. And we got to see a bunch of the really cool settlements at Pyro during the Pyro playtest and stuff. And now they're bringing some of the really fun and fun looking and big ones to the game. So this here is the oil rig, which is one of the more unique ones. If Mike fast forwarded, he explodes soon.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool, unique location. Obviously, there's nothing tied to it yet. They're not looking for feedback on it just yet. So it'll probably be in a couple days' time, couple of patches' time.
There's a little something tied to it. You might have missed it. The dusters are here.
Dusters. Pretty much at every single one of these new settlements.
Yeah,
the dusters exist, and they have
their frames
new
do
armor.
As well, as you could see. So just this is a known issue in this patch, and I'm sure it'll get addressed. Wave 1, nothing crazy here. Yeah. This is where I'm going to die.
Yeah, the duster armor.
So we're just gonna skip right past that. And this is where I ended up back at it.
Cool.
It's beautiful. Look at this.
Yeah, they all look super unique. Is my biggest thing too, right? Like when we got the first derelict settlements that weren't the Reclaimer, they were carbon copies of each other with like 4 buildings. Yeah, there you go. There's your death.
That's my death.
But now each of them look really cool and unique. So you've got the oil rig. There's 2 on Microtech that are really, really awesome. One of which is like a new super dead Reclaimer wreck on like this massive hill.
Yeah, you saw I haven't seen Microtech. I've only seen the Hurston ones. So there's a new Reclaimer. What do you mean by
there's
super
a new
dead?
Reclaimer wreck there. So I don't know if you remember an ISC. It might have been early this year or late last year, where they said we've got extra assets for Rex, and they showed specifically the 600i in like 7 different like variations of disrepair.
Okay.
And so like one of them was essentially the one that you see at not Ghost Hollow, whatever it's called at Daymar. The very end one, the last one, which we saw a little bit of in Pyro as well, was like fully rusted. It's got red like frame. It's just the frame, right?
Yeah.
They've been using those assets a lot more with these ones. But yeah, so that looks absolutely fantastic. There's one, my favorite settlement, other than Oil Rig, because Oil Rig's awesome, is one on Microtech, which is in an extremely dense forest to the point where you can't really land anything other than like a fighter, maybe a heavy fighter, next to it. And it looks like they're making drugs. It looks like they're making some, they're growing some drugs.
So this one we're showing is my favorite.
Yep.
And this is, you noticed what it was after a little while. It's the Tank Royale map that they turned into this is a quarry of some kind.
Yeah.
It's wild. And I think you missed it when you were watching the stream. And I'm going to try to fast forward right to this. Yeah, right here. This building, it says Rust on it.
Yes. There's a couple of these around.
Yeah. We saw this at Pyro. But this is built up to work.
Yep.
Because we have a game in Stanton a little bit more. There's a commodity shop here. And it sells RMC for a little under 6K, which means you can now trade RMC in the game. Which is cool. And then I'll run into a few issues here, but then we can see what it buys. And it's starting to be like, This is your other element of blueprints. So I'm going to try and click forward just a tiny bit. And there we go.
Yeah.
Copper, iron, scrap, and waste. So this is a salvage shop. So it is going to take in copper, iron, and probably other things in the future and turn it into salvage. So
yeah, there's an
cool.
interesting element on that too. That because that location didn't have a quantum marker, did it?
No.
You got to this one from a mission. So the ones on Microtech do. If this one continues to not have a marker, there's a cool little element of that of like you're enriching trading by having some of your most profitable locations, possibly on depending on what runs you're doing.
Yep.
Not be I'm 20 kilometers away. You've actually got to, work your way to get there, which would be cool.
Also, the expectation was to have the dusters here as well, and they weren't. Just because of a bug, most likely they didn't spawn. So there's that risk involved as well in this trading, right? We all have read the monthly reports for many, probably a couple years now, at least a year on the aspect of NPCs are going to use railguns and sniper rifles and, vehicles at some point. Imagine trying to get a trading run done here. You're going to have to clear the place before you could. So
I will also say it appears though the dusters are not inherently hostile, which I don't think is going to change for this patch, but it does imply that the reputation is going to matter in Stanton with the dusters. If you want to trade at that scrap,
I hope so.
Sorry, if you want to trade there, then you're going to need to have good rep.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, just a little bit more on this location. It looks like a scrapyard. And this is a scrapyard that, oh man, with salvage coming more and more online, I really want the scrapyards to also become more tactile and functional. And God, like Brios and some of these places are so cool. I mean, we mentioned on the podcast before, just a mission to bring a ship here to have them salvage it, when you have an SRV. Just simple stuff like that. But yeah, this is when somebody was like, but you reuse pyro, I see it. And I'm like, who cares, man? Holy, it's just garbage. Relax.
Not true. Every asset should be individual.
Exactly.
Incoming 7 petabyte Star Citizen file.
Exactly, right? It's okay. It's okay if it's not.
my one gripe with the locations, because I've been to a couple of them now, is just like it's not even that like there's nothing for me to do there. I really desperately want to spawn there every single session and then do something. Like I want to live in these locations, and that's just not a thing
yet. Right? Like maybe there'll be, salvage yard, not DLC, but like you could buy it on the website, salvage yard skins for your bases that you're building. You know what I mean? So when there is base building, you will be spawning at a location that is your own, that you could do things at, copium. Major copium.
Let's bring in a caller, I reckon.
You sure?
Yeah, it's probably going to be about salvage again, but you gotta split up the salvage talk with other stuff.
That's true. I was we got mining coming up next. That's the only other thing. So we can go on for mining forever probably. So we could take it easy. Tilted, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear,
How
man.
you doing?
Perfect. Hey, first time calling in, so please excuse me for my nervousness, but
you're all good.
Yeah. Originally wanted to talk about salvage, but I will go into the newer topics that you guys were talking on. So new hair looks great, but I think because it's on like the older heads, it does kind of give more of that like uncanny valley feel to it. So like that's something I kind of noticed. I'm like,
fair.
That looks a little weird. Like the hair itself looks amazing, but like on the older heads, because I think they're trying to like convert new hair onto the old heads, it kind of looks a little
like
weird.
a mismatch.
Yeah, a little bit, but like it's still looks great. It's still amazing. The physics, are a little wonky, but that'll get fixed with
what
time.
hairstyle did you go with?
Pretty basic. I like the shaved sides ones. It's just simple enough, But like some of the like the longer ones, like the ponytail one, got me excited. I was like, oh man, look at the ponytail swishing and everything. So that was fun. Commodities. The new container boxes. Really excited about those. Hopefully, what I'm hoping is they'll be able to make it so you can put commodities into those. So like, let's say you
tried.
Right, yeah, it doesn't quite work, but because there's no way to interact with the commodities
Think
from the
Jump Town.
inventory screen. Yeah.
Yep.
So exactly. But like, and my thought was like, I threw a 2 SCU box onto the Vulture and was like, okay, can I put 2 RMC boxes into there, and so it's easier to move around in the end? But no. But I mean, like, this could be like the first wave of being able to store stuff in stations, because if we can move commodities into larger boxes, and then those can be then dragged into the station inventory, you're able to stock up your inventory and stuff like that. So that'd be really cool.
Well, essentially that would just be done through the freight elevator, right?
Exactly.
It would still be good to be able to organize it into those boxes, but yeah, you would put that whole massive box that's got maybe 7 different commodities into it onto the freight elevator. Yeah.
But it's like it's sort of like a before freight elevators come. This could be like a a tier 0 version of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and before we move on that subject, this is again just to kind of call them out a little bit on this stuff and try to keep them accountable. It feels like we took the Siege of Orson locker things and put a few what looks like maze right at the bottom, then when they deliver, this is not what we got. So it's another like salvage thing of this is what the roadmap looked like, but and it literally says store items and smaller cargo containers in it, and it's like, guys, come on.
I do wonder if that's why they're not taking feedback on cargo containers yet.
I think so.
Possibly, that might come
in
2 patches time, maybe. So we'll see.
Well, because that's what I'm crossing my fingers. Wave 1.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens on this one for the rest of the cycle.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, I do notice that in that picture, like, it is, those are like just old assets. This is just marketing. Like, hey, these are the assets we had to make this picture at the time, kind of thing. But
Jared's team strikes again.
Right. Shoot. Oh yeah. So, oh crap. What was I gonna say? Dang it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh yeah. Because currently the storage containers themselves you can put into each other. You can nesting doll them into each other. But like an empty 1 SCU takes up as much room as a full 1 SCU. So like it's not, you can't like game that system. It's like right. Yeah. Exactly. And then when you're talking about like why this and not the mining heads, the only real explanation I could think of that is like trying to put more complex items onto a grid without snapping, like it jitters around and stuff like that. So like a mining head sitting in your ship is gonna basically clip through it, and blow your ship up or something like that. So
it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'll give you what their explanation was. They didn't want us to do that because they didn't want us blocking elevators in the hangars and stuff.
Right, which was
what is this giant box going to do?
Which is that's
although I think it on an ISC or an SCL. That was their reasoning behind not allowing us to do that. Is those items were too large and they would block people.
Yeah, at the very least, now I think you can only bring those out in your cargo bay, though, right? You can't bring them out in like a station or something.
But I can throw them across the.
True. People find a way. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Let's see. Oh yeah, with the derelict settlements and everything like that. Like the reuse of like the pyro assets. It's like you're like, oh yeah, I remember that from pyro or whatever. But like all the ships are made of the same stuff. So at least with derelict settlements, it makes sense that everything looks the same because it's all the same.
Settlements.
Yeah, it's the same materials and everything.
If it was a Xi'an settlement, I'd understand your point of view.
Right? Yeah. And again, it's gonna take longer if you got to make unique assets for every single set. No, it's not. We're never gonna get this game.
Stop
and I'm hoping dusters are going to be like their sort of practice for the new reputation system whenever that might come around, because we still haven't seen anything specific on it. But here's hoping that like dusters are going to be our first introduction to like building up a reputation so we can get access to different things and
not in 322.
No.
Not 322, but it does feel like they are such a neutral gang that it feels like the perfect test to get the stuff to work, right?
The armors aren't even armor right now as well. They're clothing.
Yeah, no, they're clothing.
Yeah. I mean, they look cool, but
they look great.
Oh yeah.
Great but assets. I mean, like with any clothing in the game, like there's no point to it if I can't swap it easily, and
it does have damage reduction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
And that
Well, there
matters
you
a
go.
little bit more ever since they messed with the time to kill stuff, especially helmets, because this patch, small one, you can't get headshot one tapped if you're a heavy helmet.
True.
But yeah.
Do we know if the duster masks, if those allow you to breathe in out of atmosphere?
they even the helmet says this is for breathable atmosphere only.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure because, like, if that was an option, like you just like have, like, maybe because like right now in the vacuum of space and just a plain undersuit, you have infinite lifespan. Whereas if you step on a planet that's slightly warm or you somehow are freezing to death, anyway.
Yeah.
But like, it could be. They could add some way that's like a, like you could be out in space in like, I don't know, more protective clothing, but not an undersuit, but you're not going to last long kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So some of the helmets do work as actual helmets, but they're specifically the ones that essentially recolors of old helmets. So the Mantis helmet, the Overlord helmet, while they look like dusters, they work like actual helmets. But there's a weird mismatching going on at the moment. There's like Mike encountered the invisible undersuits and stuff. So they're doing something strange there. I'm just hoping that they do end up actually working to make me want to wear them, not just for looks.
Right. Yeah. Like
I got the helmet up on screen. This was what appears to be a medium helmet, and it says provides premium head protection and an antimicrobial liner. Okay, so you could boldly brave any untamed locale. I guess that just means it's damage reduction, untamed, nothing about like toxicity or anything like that, really. Although it looks like a very toxic safe helmet. And then please note that this helmet is not space rated and should only be worn, and then it's cut off. I can't see anything else.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, have consumables always had the, like, the little extra bits like, because I know I only noticed it since the pyro preview that, like, certain foods had certain like little secondary effects and things. Is that how new is that? Because like I don't remember.
Yeah,
it's not new.
Nope.
Even when the food you could only like the Patambus or the Medmons, even when you could only get them by going into the wild and finding them, they still had like stat bonuses and stuff.
Oh, like immune boosting or whatever that'll.
Yep.
Thing.
Yeah,
okay. That's not. Oh, okay, that's not new. That's just something I never really paid much attention.
It's just
to.
that now you see it because it's in the description of them. I guess is the more
okay.
thing, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think if you brought it up in the Moby-Glass, you would see it more before the descriptions of things. I don't know, but it's been there forever. And you can sometimes see like certain things will give you 2+ on your water or your food.
Right,
So
yeah, the little like Sims moodlet thing going on.
Yeah, there's little elements, but they don't do enough at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but before I go, I do want to touch on Salvage just a tad.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
Vulture is in an amazing place right now, and I'm very excited about it. Now, I agree with the buffer thing, where it's like, buffer is an amazing thing for the Vulture. Maybe needs to be dumbed down a little bit drilled in a little bit better for the Reclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
But my experience with the Vulture yesterday was like, because of the buffer, you got room in your cargo bay for components and weapons and everything, and like loot from the cargo bay of the ship you're looting. So like, it lets you do like the full salvage experience in a solo ship, and it's like small enough to where you're not making a ton of money, but like with the Reclaimer where you can solo it right now and make millions, but like being able to like get out of your ship, throw the components and weapons into the back of the Vulture, and then still be able to scrape and munch and like fill up the buffer. And then when you get back to the station, sell all the bits, then go back, take out the boxes, sell those. It's got a great loop to it right now.
Yep.
I mean, definitely, we've talked to, you guys have talked to death about the munching definitely needs more, more work and a little bit more complexity, but that was something I was just like super excited about, because like the Vulture feels in a really good place, because even with the simplicity of the munching, like, because you can only hold so much, it's not like it doesn't feel too easy, because it
doesn't feel as bad on the Vulture.
No.
What's that?
It doesn't feel as bad on the Vulture, because you're not pressing a button and making infinite money.
Yeah.
there's a lot more stuff to playing around with the Vulture, I guess.
Yeah. They really just need to balance it, at least for now, at least balance it so that it's not like, okay, I'm definitely going to do all munching because why wouldn't I? Because it's worth twice as much, takes 1/10 of the time. Like you want to have that choice of, do I take all the input components out? Do I do a scraping? Do I do this? Or, do I want to pay out now versus more payout later kind of thing, which I think they might be moving towards throwing the CMATs into the refinery, so you have to wait to get that big payout. So
I think that would be great.
Right, because that way it's like, okay, I can scrape and get payout now, or I can just do all mulching,
and then have to chuck it in a refiner.
And then have to chuck in a refiner.
I mean, let's just pause for a second and take what that internal storage can do now. Is whatever comes in, if you put it out, it becomes one thing, but if you refine it, like you have the ability to do mining mechanics now with the ship. You just have to just go to a refinery with a Vulture or with a reclaimer and see it. Maybe we should. I haven't done that yet, but maybe it's something I'll go take a look at. Is if you take a Vulture over to a refinery, can you extract something from it? Probably not, but the ability should be there.
Yeah, currently no. It shows up in the selling your ore terminal. Like it.
Oh, you tried this? Okay.
Ooh.
Yes. So yeah,
that means it's classified as like that kind of material. So that's interesting. Yeah.
So I have two guesses of why this is. It's either they are planning on using material, the CMATs to be refined, or they just copy and pasted the code for the mining ship ore and forgot to blacklist it.
But that could also be the extra wrinkle that's coming.
Yeah, what if that's the extra
exactly.
thing?
Yeah. Like after that post when they were like, hey, there might be a little bit more, might not be what you're thinking kind of thing. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that is the refinery thing. But yeah, like what you're saying, Mike, is like if you're refining this down, like maybe there is a use for pure CMATs, but if you refine it down, you could get it could maybe be like it might probably be a bit of RNG, but it's like you refine it, you might get some gold, you might get some iron, you might get some titanium. It all depends.
Like relevant materials,
right. It might be hard for them to like distinguish. Okay, you got these CMATs from an 890 jump versus a cutlass steel or something. Like it's going to be hard for them to like say like, okay, this particular SCU of CMATs has more likely of gold in it versus this one has more likely of just junk.
As pure tier 0, I think I'm okay. Yeah. But I absolutely, I gave this feedback in Evo, and I'll share it here, is that what I would have loved to see is a very similar cargo manifest to what we have in the Prospector, of as you're salvaging the structure, the percentages of, I have this much SCU of gold, I have this much SCU, and it's raw material, and then you would just go to the refinery and deal with it just the way you would with the Prospector. Now, how would that equate to ship-based refining? It sort of breaks that now, so I don't know. Maybe you can create mining bags or some shit with maybe. And then you can attach it that way. I don't know. I think the refinery ships are going to probably get completely changed from the way they look, feel, work in the future as well. So we'll have to see. But
yeah, this might be why we haven't really seen a whole lot on like the Expanse in a while, because like they might be changing some ideas of some stuff because of the way Salvage is going.
I think if you get rid of bags, it solves all those problems. Personally.
True.
Yeah, I will also say they've definitely. It was more likely just because they were doing the Arastra, but they have had refining on the progress tracker for like most of last year and parts of this year, I think. Now, once again, probably just because they're doing the Arastra and they like needed to figure out what they wanted to do with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the potential is there.
For sure.
Well, all right, man. Is there anything else you're on your mind before we let you go?
Vote Terrapin for Best in Show 2954.
Fair enough. It deserves some skins, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Later,
Thanks,
man.
mate.
Bye now. All right. So
we're banning him because he didn't say the mole, right?
True. I'm a mole fan now. I'm a lot more of a mole fan than I was. now that it's not really super solo ship. I got a better look at the hair. I think this is my feelings after seeing structural salvage for the first time. Was that right there? So that's my character. Did I do a good job of character creation, guys? I think I did pretty good.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks just like me. But the last thing I think, unless there's something else, there's two things: mining and the FPS weapon changes, things like that. I don't have a ton of ability to show the FPS weapon changes. I will try and find some things. The L86 is, or LH86, however you say it, ridiculous.
Yeah, fully automatic pistol. I think it's what, 25 ammo per clip.
Yeah,
it's so much fun though.
it is fun. It's stupid though. It's stupid.
Yeah.
The FS9,
the S70
finally got the nerf it deserved.
Yep.
75 round mag now instead of 120. And a little reduction, I think, in fire rate, while many other things got a increase in fire rate. S71 was one of them. I haven't used it yet, so what do you think about that one?
I like it. I like it a little bit more. I never really was a massive fan of it, but
so how has it changed?
You can click faster.
That's it. That's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And it felt good. I mean, everything has like different recoil now too, but I haven't done the thing where you go up against a wall and find out how every single like gun's recoil is.
I did a tiny bit. I did a tiny bit of that, and I did find it here. I was playing with Cutlet yesterday, and I was like looking at ADS, and then I was firing out of the ship at some point. I had it, and now I don't. Oh, these long videos are so hard to click around, so I'm sorry, guys.
Mike dying. That's not no.
He ran into me with the ship because he thought he was getting hit with it. But yeah, it's damn. Sorry, guys. I had it and then I clicked one more time, so I'll try and find it again. But I had the L86 and I had the FS9 as well. There,
yeah.
Here we go.
P4 feels a bit nicer. I will say that much as well. It's a weapon that I try not to use too much because it's just like too common, but it's a little bit nice. I don't know. It's hard to say. It just feels nicer. I need to like analyze it versus live proper, but it just felt nicer to shoot. Yeah.
Burst on the
yeah.
What's the name of this gun?
Is it the Coda?
No, it's the gun you start with. Arclight pistol. So we had the burst in Gun Rush, and then they took it out because it sucked, and then they put it back in. It feels better, but I don't know. I don't like it. I love the Arclight. Okay. Arclight was one of my favorite guns. There's the LH86. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So 2 shots, headshotting every NPC easy, and it holds 25 rounds. It's ridiculous. Sorry, that gun's ridiculous. And then other than that, for me, it was just like mining changes.
Yeah, there's a couple other things. The mining changes, they've made the prospector more relevant. It's just a balance repass, essentially. Cool. So you're more likely to find rocks that you can crack.
Yeah, but you're also like, you can break really bigger rocks than I remember. Okay. We broke some like 11Ks. They didn't have, they had some resistance. I believe broke together a 19K, 2 prospectors, and it was like the downside wasn't. Yeah, here it is. The downside wasn't super bad. It was easy. This rock, 19K, 10% resistance, 50 instability. When I tell you easy, he's got a Helix with 2 Focus 3s. I have a Hofstede.
Yeah.
And he was at 50% power, and I put it up a little bit, and we were breaking the rock.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty easy.
Yeah. So I don't know if there was some other sneaky changes as well. So to point that out to some people, but it feels like you can also break better rocks than you could before. This is no gadgets, nothing on anything. It was very doable. Look at the green zone; it's massive, and So, just a little thing of note there. Nothing crazy, but some mining changes were good.
One of the biggest ones
Torsten
was some of the
Series
arena.
says no
yeah.
sneaky changes.
Ah, okay.
So interesting.
Fair
I don't know. Maybe just a good.
Maybe you
server
just
we
got
were on.
better. Maybe you just got better at mining.
I think maybe it was just a good server we were on or something. I don't know, but it was
Probably.
like mega easy. Okay.
Yep. Arena Commander had a couple of changes. So first off, multi-crew is in. And it took me a while to figure out how to do it. But then once I figured it out, it actually was weirdly intuitive. Which I've never had that experience of something being really hard to figure out and then being like, oh, of course. That's how it works.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. So yeah, we went into a couple of like Vandal and Pirate Swarms. And you essentially just with your lobby, you go into it, whoever is the pilot, get them to select the ship, like the vehicle selection.
Yep.
And then you will be able to, assuming that ship has seats available, you will then be able to hop into the ship on those seats. And you'll still be able to get out of that seat and go to other turrets and stuff if you need to. All that stuff works. And it made it way more fun.
Oh, it's awesome. That same play session where we were shooting the guns, me, Cutlet, and Cryptical, who's in my org, we also streams on I think Twitch and I think Kick. We all played Pirate Swarm in a Corsair. And somebody in chat is saying the main feedback issue is buff turret HP or riot. It did kind of suck from that perspective.
Yeah.
I wish I had the footage because both of our turrets died, and me and Cryptical Cutlet was flying. We took the Corsair elevator up to the top of the ship and just watched the carnage. It was super fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's
We got our badge or whatever, and it was a good time. But I think, again, the feedback loops of Arena Commander will hopefully improve some things.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea of being able to blow up turrets. So hopefully it's not too much more health.
All we need is like the repair function that used to pop up when you would kill people. And then just, all right, cool, just have this repair turrets. If that's possible. Maybe the systems are too weird and too mixed or whatever. Yeah. But it was really cool. That was a lot of fun. And that's not the only thing that's in Arena Commander. The other big thing is that there are now 4 ships available for master modes.
Yep.
So we have the Gladius, the Super Hornet, it's one of the Vanguards. I don't remember which one.
Hoplite, I think.
Maybe.
Which would make sense, but yeah, maybe because of a squadron?
Possibly. Whatever it was, it had like Panthers or something.
Warden, they're saying. Okay.
Warden, yeah. And then the last one was the Buccaneer. So lots of new stuff to test out there. The reason I'm really excited for it is because the first time we've got multi-crew master modes testing, because that's one thing that I've always been really concerned about is how they're going to balance turrets and stuff with this. So
can you join a turret in that test? I haven't tried. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I joined a randoms.
Dude, we had that happen too. And then you're like talking to them in chat and you're like, oh, take this turret, this one's down.
Yeah.
We're all it was awesome. That was so fun, dude.
Yeah,
that was
super cool. It's a feature that I was disappointed eventually got taken out of 3.19. But we're like 2 days into the PTU and it seems to work almost perfectly. The only bugs that are associated with it are like random AC bugs. Like I think people have like too much shield or something like that.
No, it's you can literally can't damage. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's really bad. Okay. Each other you can't do anything. We blew each other up, got no points. It was all this weird stuff. So there's tons of bugs, tons of issues. But
the getting into the ship worked.
Exactly.
And I had no issues with that. So
exactly. So like the important new stuff was working well. The old stuff completely broken. What's new?
Yeah. My one piece of feedback just on that quickly is when you do select someone else's ship to hop on it as a turret or whatever, it just has the numbers of the turrets. It doesn't tell you what turret is
right,
what.
left, or the name of the person flying the ship. There's some definite
just some small nice things would be good. Stuff. But it works. I'm happy.
DJ Button is here. Said God mode bug has been fixed. Will be in the next build. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Great stuff. I think that's where we're left at this point. I think that covers pretty much everything. That's 322.
One more.
One more. It. Tell me.
The ground vehicle
it's
rebalance.
Croncy's gonna rant. Let's go.
For those of you that know me, I like racing ground vehicles in Star Citizen. And ever since they did the first ground vehicle rebalance, I have not liked ground vehicle racing in Star Citizen. They keep on slowing all of the vehicles down more and more and more and make them less and less fun to use. Now, we talked a little bit before the podcast. There's not much reason to use most ground vehicles anyway. So it really sucks when the only people using the ground vehicles
is Daymar Rally.
don't want to. Yeah, we have the Daymar Rally coming up soon, which I'm commentating this time, by the way. It's going to be good fun.
Hey.
Well, might not be fun. The Cyclone RC has the same speed right now as all the Cyclones and is slower than the Mule. Like, none of it makes sense. The only thing that I can sort of see is that they're like changing numbers that are then inadvertently changing the speeds or something. I don't get it. It's so boring and I don't want to do it anymore.
Damn.
Yeah.
I've never heard you be like negative before.
It's if they ever messed up mining the way that they've messed up ground vehicles, you'd hear it.
Well, I mean, I think they did before we got the more recent changes. The gadget patch, I think they ruined it. Like I was livid. Yeah, I'm sure you weren't very happy with it at that point either. And then they listened to feedback, and here we are. Right, great place now. So hopefully they hear your feedback. But people were pissed.
Just make stuff faster.
Do you know? I don't know how to say his last name very well, but you know, like Tom Beckenhauser, who's like literally Formula 3 driver. He's like, yo, this stuff is trash. And the thing is like the leader of that team is a sim racer. So it's so weird that you know the choices are being made the way they are because you would expect racing to be in a pretty good place with the type of team they have. A lot of sim guys there, but. Hopefully, similarly to Torsten's post of kind of like, hey, chill out, guys. It's going to be all right. Hopefully, they respond to that as well, you know?
Hopefully. And also, like, once again, it's like, it's rant time, but it's also, we're 2 days into the first patch of the PTU Wave 1. And stuff like this does change quite a lot during the PTU. So, this might not be what goes to live anyway.
Yeah, especially little number changes, right? Like, anything can arbitrarily change, you know, the internals of the reclaimer like we were complaining about or the speeds of the ship. And I think things are in a good place. I think 322 is not the like greatest patch in the world, but I'm just going to say it. I also found myself like I put on my Hard Space Shipbreaker music to start the stream this morning. I thought I was going to go salvaging again. So even though I don't like it, I still kind of wanted to do it.
Yeah, it's more. I don't like how they've implemented it, but I'm happy it's implemented.
Yeah,
you know,
I like. Parts
could this
of
be
it,
done
maybe?
better? Of course, but at least I get to do something.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it, and maybe I'll know for sure at the end of the patch cycle or whatever. But. Yeah, it's just like, fuck. You know, I thought it was going to be one thing, and now it's not. But it is what it is, I guess.
That's the epitome of Star Citizen, though.
Yeah, and I think that's where it leaves us today for the show. Anything else?
I actually do feel like we're missing something.
Me
and
too.
Now it's going to actually break my brain once
Do I look at the patch
This
notes?
is the worst. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
The patch notes are literally covering you now. Well, not you, but what you can see.
What are we missing?
I don't think we're missing anything.
Maybe the patch is missing stuff. I mean, it is actually.
True.
Unironically, it is. I think it's relevant to remember that they did talk about how Clouds and New Water was going to be ready by the end of the year. Obviously, that still might not be the case, but it's not in the patch yet. Still could be put in. It's not in here. They changed some UI, but we already
force reactions, but only for weapons, by the way. It's not for everything else. No, I know.
I don't know. I felt like I have not been falling anywhere near as often in ships.
I know. Maybe not. Okay, maybe not in ships. Outside of a ship, the wind, same awful experience.
Okay.
Awful experience. The time to kill, player health, that's something to definitely talk about.
Yeah, that's still,
you touched on it very briefly, but can we touch on that for a second? I do.
Yep.
Anybody who plays an FPS game, how are you going to come to this game and be like, I just shot that guy in the head with a sniper rifle and he lived? I don't care what armor you're wearing. What game does that exist?
I feel like there's enough games where that exists, where like in certain situations. I don't play games, Mike. Yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't think that's a thing, dude.
Maybe just make snipers better, but keep the like extra health from the helmet, I guess.
People are saying Call of Duty, Overwatch. Tarkov is different because
definitely Overwatch, but that's like super arcadey. Like, yeah, it's a very different game.
Tier 3 helmet, PUBG. Dude, these are heavy armors that you're buying in a shop. Ooh.
Oh, actually, there you go. We did miss one thing. They've been the economy team getting their grubby little hands.
Good thing
on armors and stuff, and I really like that they're doing that because I've always had the opinion that armors, weapons, even honestly like food and water and stuff, are just drastically underpriced.
We need gold
versus
things.
Like how easy you can get money. Yeah, so that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. Hopefully they continue doing that.
Yeah, and then just a little bit, just reading chat with on things. So about apparently it is in some other games, but yeah, we'll see. I just there's some snipers that I really think should just be doming people. I don't know.
One shot, headshot.
Yeah. Somebody brought up
and
Fortnite.
I think they can
get out.
I think they can do that, but probably in conjunction with some sort of armor rework, where we make armors a bit more unique rather than just light, medium, heavy. The only thing that changes really is how fast you can run and how much gear you can, how much like ammo you can hold.
Exactly.
Then you can sort of do that stuff. Like you could make something like the arrowhead, because I don't know, the arrowhead looks like it's probably the most powerful sniper. You could make that. Oh, actually, no, I need to try this. Charge shot arrowhead, one shot with heavy helmet. Because if it does still one shot, then what I'm about to say is irrelevant. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll report it next week.
Yeah.
Because I haven't tested it. I feel like people coming from other games, the satisfaction of sniping somebody in the head is the best feeling in FPS games. Take that away. Sure. Is that a good thing? I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best choice.
Fair enough. I do think, because it came up just with time to kill, I do think time to kill in general is way better. It's way more fun. And it feels like the entire, like, not just from this patch, because they also did some in 321.1. It feels like getting an injury matters now, because I'm not just getting killed all the time. I'm actually sustaining injuries throughout missions.
Yeah, that's missions. Yeah. As soon as it went live, I went to the Jumptown location on Hurston. We didn't talk about that either.
Yeah, true.
I went there and there were some pirates there, and I got they had an FS9, I had an FS9. He shot. I had enough time to respond, but I went down pretty quick. And this is in my experience. I think he's top of the leaderboards in Star Marine, the guy who killed me.
Sure.
So he's gonna hit his shots. Now, if it's not him, do I have a chance to respond? And if I hit my shots, do I win? Maybe. So that's a good thing. But I definitely went down and it didn't take forever. I wasn't super duper bullet spongy. So that's good. I think there's probably a good balance there. And against the NPCs, because they've tuned them to not be hyper accurate, the experience you have, it feels really good. You have a chance to break your arm. You got a chance to break your leg, chest injuries, head injuries, and then you have to deal with that stuff. I definitely am like, now that this is becoming a thing, feel that we need a big update to health.
Yeah. Medical needs some attention.
Yeah. I don't want to say big. I think the way you say it is perfect. It could use a little bit more attention now. Because if this is going to happen more often, I don't know if the current systems are set for those experiences very well right now. But outside that, I think it's really good changes and really good. I have nothing to say, nothing bad to say about it, really. It's all good stuff. Just quickly to touch on the armor changes, the price of like Morozov set, which is like the set I like to go for, I think it's like 30,000. Like it's not
Yep.
chump change anymore. So that's a good change as well.
It's an investment that you want to protect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And then
Yeah.
think about future tiers of armor and what they showed at CitizenCon. That's a whole nother story, right?
Yep.
So that's good. Maybe even selling those armors might be valuable now, given the prices, right?
Yeah, true. I haven't tested any of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually 50%. So
Yeah.
$15K for an armor set might be worth selling. Who knows? Especially with these boxes, right? An 8 SCU container. Throw everything in there.
Oh, true.
So
Yeah.
tie all that stuff together. It's not sounding pretty cool, right? Outside that, that's really it for me.
Yep.
It's a bit of an exciting patch. It's a bit of a downer.
Yeah.
But it's a Star Citizen patch.
Yep.
That's what it is.
My biggest thing is that it came out faster than I expected
Yeah, same.
after last year. So awesome.
And that's what we need, because we need this time in the PTU to get that holiday break to finally be good. In your whole experience playing the game, have you had a good holiday patch? I don't think there's been one.
I want to say 3.12, but I might just be having fond memories of the patch in general.
Perhaps, yeah, but like stability-wise, I don't think we've been there.
Oh, stability-wise, yeah, no shot.
No shot. And it's wave 1. It's hard to say. I don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx it. But damn, we're stable.
Pretty good. Yep.
We're stable. So fingers crossed there. Fingers crossed. I think that's where we leave it. I don't have my phone. I don't know where it is.
Well, I
So-
guess I'm going to have to be the one, guys.
To do what?
Remember, go ahead. What?
Well, first off, let's do like, subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Make sure you guys check out the Answer the Call
The new channel.
podcast, the new channel that's coming. It will be linked down below. I will not forget this week. I forgot last week. And yeah, we're going to be posting the channel on a separate dedicated channel. We'll also be streaming to that in the new year. So very excited for that. Croncy, with that said, thank you so much as always. And yeah, also keep an eye out. I think we're going to start getting some guests in the future. So we'll start reaching out to some of our friends and other people in the community. And yeah, because I think we're coming into once the holidays
The content
come around,
well's drying up.
yeah, it's going to dry up. I'm surprised we've been able to carry as long as we've had, and it's because CIG has been very consistently delivering new content pretty much every week. It's been kind of wild, to be honest. And that obviously will be drying up during the holidays. So up until probably early February, end of January, the show is going to have to change a little bit to keep things exciting. But yeah. Thanks again, Croncy. Appreciate you. And do you have anything going on before we answer the call?
No.
Gaming. I got nothing going on either. So
Awesome.
playing Star Citizen for me, playing lots of New World as well. I've been obsessively
I've been playing
that.
so much Eve. Ever since that 6-hour video came out, I just can't stop playing Eve.
Really?
Like off stream, yeah.
Okay. I want to get into it, but I'm scared.
Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry.
Is it something you
help
can teach me along a little bit? I have an account. I know that.
Oh,
And it's boosted.
that implies I know what I'm doing though.
My account's boosted somehow. I did a sponsor and they
You
gave
probably
me a
got
boosted
extra
account.
skill points or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I have to look, but maybe we'll play some Eve one day. That's kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I think we have something coming up that we don't want to announce yet. Our little chat that we were having with the guys. Is there?
Oh,
we don't
I've
have
been
a date,
talking
do
about
we?
that nonstop on stream.
You have? Okay, yeah, go ahead, share it.
Yeah, we're doing a D&D. It might be a couple of sessions, might be one session, but we're doing D&D.
I'm playing D&D. I've never played D&D
Yeah,
before.
Mike's playing D&D. And I'm DMing Mike. I'm going to kill him off first session.
Nice.
And kick him off the kick. But yeah, it's gonna be good fun. It looks like we're gonna be doing it in February. So yeah, we'll obviously give you all guys details and stuff when we come to that. But it should be good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Like, subscribe,
All right.
guys, and don't forget to
Answer the call, unless it's from Mike.
Yeah, then don't answer. This is never not going to be cringe, but we're always going to do it. Deal with it, nerds.